Welcome to Quiz Stories, where we uncover the darkest chapters of true crime history. John Wayne Gacy, a man known for his community involvement and haunting clown performances, harbored a nightmarish secret that would shock the nation. How did this seemingly ordinary man become one of the most infamous serial killers of all time? We're diving into the twisted life, crimes, and investigation that brought the killer clown to justice. Let's get started. 1. Beneath the surface of his all-American image, John Wayne Gacy's early life was far from perfect. His childhood was marked by A. Frequent family relocations, B. Physical abuse at home, C. Isolation in boarding school. Gacy endured relentless physical and verbal abuse from his alcoholic father, creating psychological scars that many believe shaped his violent tendencies. 2. His mother tried to shield her son from his father's abuse, which resulted in accusations that he was a sissy and a mama's boy. In 1949, when he was 7 years old, Gacy started to be occasionally molested by A. a family friend, B. his uncle, C. his first neighbor. Gacy never told his father about these incidents, afraid that he would blame him. 3. Gacy was an overweight and unathletic child who was well-liked in school, but he often struggled with health issues. He was hospitalized after A. a playground accident, B. his congenital heart condition worsened, C. being struck by a swing. Due to various health issues, Gacy spent nearly a year in the hospital between the ages of 14 and 18, which he believed contributed to his academic decline. 4. In 1964, John Wayne Gacy married Marlon Myers, with whom he had 2 children. They moved from Illinois to Waterloo, Iowa, after his father-in-law offered him a management position at A. several KFC franchises, B. a local car dealership, C. a chain of grocery stores. Gacy quickly gained respect in the community, but beneath the surface, he began engaging in predatory behavior, including sexually assaulting young male employees. 5. Gacy's sinister side surfaced in 1968 when he was accused of sexually assaulting 15-year-old Donald Voorhees Jr. This resulted in a 10-year prison sentence, though he served A. 18 months, B. 24 months, C. 36 months. Gacy served only 18 months of his sentence, benefiting from good behavior, a shocking factor considering his later crimes. 6. Following his release in 1970, Gacy moved back to Illinois and remarried, but this marriage was also short-lived. In Chicago, he launched a construction business called A. Midwest Home Repairs, B. PDM Contractors, C. Chicago Fix-It Pros. PDM Contractors became a front for Gacy to lure young men, but it also gave him access to tools and materials to dispose of bodies. 7. Gacy soon became a respected figure and an active Democratic Party member, cultivating an image of trustworthiness and generosity. He often performed as a clown at children's parties and charity events and was widely known as A. Happy the Clown, B. Smiley the Clown, C. Pogo the Clown. His clown persona became a symbol of his ability to hide in plain sight, terrifying the public after his arrest. 8. John Wayne Gacy's first known murder took place on January 3, 1972. His victim, Timothy McCoy, was killed after a confrontation involving A. a fight over stolen money, B. a misunderstanding with a knife, C. a failed robbery attempt. Gacy claimed McCoy pulled a knife on him, but evidence suggested Gacy coaxed the 16-year-old to his house, drugged him, and stabbed him to death. 9. Many of Gacy's victims were lured to his home with promises that seemed innocent at first. He often offered them A. shelter and safety, B. jobs and money, C. a free ride. Gacy preyed on vulnerable young men, many of whom were runaways or struggling financially, ensuring they willingly came into his home. 10. Upon entering his house, one of Gacy's methods to gain the trust of his victims was by performing clowning routines, including pretending to perform magic tricks with A. handcuffs, B. A baseball bat. C. Cards. After he deceived victims into allowing themselves to be restrained, Gacy would initiate acts of sexual assault, frequently violating victims with foreign objects. 11. Gacy often taunted his victims, combining psychological torment with physical abuse. One of the most brutal methods Gacy used to torture his victims was A. Burning them with a blowtorch, B. Depriving them of food and water, C. Partial drowning. Gacy subjected several victims to partial drowning in the bathtub, reviving them repeatedly to prolong their suffering. 12. Gacy typically murdered his victims by using a rope tourniquet around their necks, which he progressively tightened with the handle of a hammer. He referred to this method of strangulation as A. The final act, B. The rope trick, C. The death knot. Before killing his victims with a rope, he would often say, "This is the last trick." 13. In December 1978, the disappearance of 15-year-old Robert Peist finally led investigators to Gacy's doorstep. Authorities were tipped off after A. His wallet was found at Gacy's house, B. A witness saw him leave with Gacy, C. A note in his locker linked him to Gacy. After Peist's mother reported him missing, witnesses revealed he was last seen leaving work with Gacy, who had offered him a job. 14. Police found shocking evidence during their search of Gacy's property. The most significant discovery was A. Human remains in his crawlspace, B. Blood-stained tools in his garage, C. A journal detailing his crimes. Investigators found 26 bodies buried in the crawlspace beneath Gacy's home. The stench of decay was overwhelming, and the scene was described as a house of horrors. 15. Not all of Gacy's victims were buried in his crawlspace, as he eventually ran out of room. Additional remains were discovered. A. In a nearby lake, B. At construction sites, C. Dumped in a river. When Gacy ran out of space in his crawlspace, he dumped at least 4 victims, including Robert Peist, into the Des Plaines River. 16. Gacy's trial began on February 6, 1980, and lasted 5 weeks. Throughout it, Gacy maintained that he had no memory of some of the murders, claiming that he had A. Alzheimer's disease, B. Been possessed by demons, C. Multiple personalities. During his trial, Gacy pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity, but the jury rejected this after hearing his calm and calculated confessions. 17. After a brief 2-hour deliberation, Gacy was convicted and sentenced to death. His crimes made him one of the most prolific serial killers in U.S. history, as he was convicted of A. 26 murders, B. 33 murders, C. 45 murders. Gacy was convicted of 33 murders, though he confessed to killing more. To this day, 6 of his victims remain unidentified. 18. After being convicted, Gacy spent over a decade on death row. While awaiting execution, he gained notoriety for his unusual prison hobby, spending his time A. Painting disturbing clown portraits, B. Writing letters to his victims' families, C. Organizing charity events. Gacy painted hundreds of clown portraits, often with sinister expressions, many of which were sold to collectors, further adding to his infamy. 19. John Wayne Gacy was executed by lethal injection on May 10, 1994, at the Stateville Correctional Center. His infamous last words were reportedly, A. I'm innocent, B. Kiss my ass, C. I regret nothing. Gacy's defiance remained until the end, with his final words showing a complete lack of remorse for the atrocities he committed. 20. Gacy's horrific crimes not only left a lasting mark on his community, but also reshaped law enforcement practices in the U.S. One major reform was A. Mandatory fingerprinting for arrests, B. Enhanced cooperation between states, C. Improved national databases. Gacy's crimes led to systemic changes, such as the creation of improved national databases like the National Crime Information Center to better track missing persons and prevent similar tragedies in the future. Thank you for joining us on this unsettling journey through the terrifying life of John Wayne Gacy. What do you think was the most chilling part of his story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Quiz Stories, and hit the notification bell for more gripping true crime quizzes. Stay curious, stay safe, and keep exploring the shadows of the past.